Hello, everybody. This is Evolve Into Wholeness Live, a nightly sacred space to unwind, learn, laugh, realign, and it's where healing meets real life. And I'm using my notes, so my apologies for going back and forth. I was trying to look at two things at once, but I'm Dr. Debbie Bedoui. For those of you who are coming and viewing for the first time, this is Evolve Global 22's live stream, Evolve Into Wholeness. And we have been on all week with a different nightly topic or theme each night. But first, we always start, always start with our opening mantra. So let's do that first. So let's just get settled. And our opening mantra, the music. Rise into light. I rise in truth. I breathe in healing. I walk in wholeness. I am perfectly imperfect, and I evolve through love, light, and peace. One more time. Rise in light. I rise in truth. I breathe in healing. I walk in wholeness. I am perfectly imperfect, and I evolve through love, light, and purpose. That is the mantra that we start every live stream with. And then another thing that we do is we have to get cleared and grounded. And there's a really quick way that I do this. There's many ways that I teach people, but there's one quick way, and it uses your breath. So what it is you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And when we breathe out through our mouth, add emotion to it. So release. So all of the stuff of today, all of the past conversations, all of the worries, all of the stress, all of everything that's on your mind, you just inhale, exhale, and release. So let's do this together. We do it 3 times. Are you ready? Okay. Inhale through your nose and exhale slowly through your mouth and release. Blow everything away. Again, inhale through the nose and then exhale through the mouth. Release, pushing everything away. Inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Release everything. And that helps us to be grounded, helps us to be centered, help us to be in the moment and just be together in this space to be present and mindful and have our brains be focused on what is right here and now. So if you remember, if you've been with me all week, on Mondays are mindful moments and micro learning. We started an introduction of this book, The Science of the Sacred, Bridging Global Indigenous Medicine Systems and Modern Scientific Principles. We're going to continue this. Next Monday, we'll be here. Those are bite-sized pieces of wisdom to start the week with insight and intention. And then Tuesday is healing in real life. And we talked about fear. And we talked about some of the struggles that we as human beings face when it comes to making change, taking steps in our own healing, health, and wellness. And then yesterday, is Threads of Trinity, and we talked about how creativity is medicine. And maybe somebody was crocheting or knitting or doing some creative activity with me, but I was crocheting, and it's really interesting. I have one of my therapy meditation lap blankets behind me. Colors are very grounding and drawing in. But anyways, the crochet and the creativity, we talked about how creativity is therapeutic and is medicine. And tonight is Thursday. I love tonight's topic. I love all of our topics, but tonight's topic, light talk and spirit flow. And what Thursdays are about is deeper reflections on spirituality, intuition, and surrender. Those topics and all of the topics that surround those topics. And I want to talk tonight um, to make sure that we have an understanding of some things, and you can think about your understanding of spirituality. And what I want to talk about is spirituality versus religion, because it's two very different things. Not that they're not interconnected. However, we tend to associate or think spirituality equals religion, and it doesn't necessarily. And we also think that religion equals spirituality, and that doesn't necessarily ring true. And it really depends on the person or the people that one is speaking of. So I want to talk, and then Thursdays will also be about meditations. We'll do some meditations together. We'll do oracle card readings. I did one earlier in the week as an example. We'll talk about purpose, forgiveness, divine timing, and we'll talk about energy healing, energy cleansing. And there's some very short little meditations that are so easy to use throughout your day. And we'll build up, and we'll build and fill our toolkit. But tonight, I want to talk about spirituality versus religion. And I put verses in there not because they're against or anti each other, but people tend to kind of pose them against each other sometimes. Not all people, not everybody, but there's a general thinking out there, I believe, where that happens. So let's talk first about religion. So when I say religion, I'm talking about the three Abrahamic religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Now, anything outside of that, such as, and I mean no disrespect to anybody, this is just my take and my understanding and what I have read and what conclusions I've come to. For example, Hinduism is more of a philosophy of life, in my opinion. That's only my opinion. But when I talk about religion, I talk about the three Abrahamic religions, which again, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. And I'm talking about the one God, the creator of all that is. Now, if you study the three religions that I'm speaking of, if you study them, read them, talk to people, whatever, gain knowledge. We talked last night about gaining knowledge, or the night before maybe. It's been a hectic week, so forgive me. One of these nights this week, we talked about gaining knowledge. Maybe it was Monday. But anyhow, if you talk to anybody or you study or you read about the three Abrahamic religions, you're going to see many, many, many similarities between the three. Some things are almost identical. And every religion has its rules, guidelines, belief system, the 10 Commandments, for example, in Christianity. I mean, all of that holds true in Islam as well. So, or in Judaism. They all have their rules. They all have their traditions. They all have what sins are and what they're not, who's going to heaven, maybe who's not. That's religion. So in the West, based upon other human beings' behaviors and representation of any of the three religions I'm speaking of, people tend to have a very negative view in general about religion because they're associating behaviors of people or opinions of people that represent perhaps that specific religion, and they think and they come to believe that that religion, that's what that religion is about. And that's so not true. In all three of the religions, human beings are probably the worst example in all three Abrahamic religions of what the religions, those three religions, actually teach. Think about that. There are rules and laws and things in the religions that are taught, all three of them, that are taught that you could conclude absolutely would not support some of the things that we see people doing or saying. For example, I'll talk about Islam, since Islam is my religion, is the religion that I chose. Years ago, big thing, suicide bombers. Nowhere in any religion is it possible for anyone, I don't care who they are, to say that any of the three religions, including Islam, supports the idea of suicide bombers. If you study the religion, if you study any of the three religions, if you gain a proper understanding, you can't support the killing of any innocent person. Period. Case closed. But it happened. It's been done in the name of all three religions in different times and different spaces throughout history. It can't be, it's not right. It can't be supported by the religion, but yet it's associated because people have done it, and they've done it, and they've done it in the name of whatever religion. But it's the people's behavior and understanding that's the problem. It's their understanding. So my advice when someone thinks about religion is study the religion and be careful and cautious who you take your information from. It's better to study on your own, and I don't mean in isolation, but it's better to study and read on your own and get some foundational knowledge first, and then build relationships and find a trusted person or people that you can gain information from. And if something doesn't sound right, you have a foundational understanding yourself, so that if it doesn't sound right, you can, the caution lights will go on. So that's religion. So religion, you have your holy book. We're talking about God. We're talking about the creator of all that is, one God of all creation. Now, spirituality is different in that it doesn't necessarily have a religion, but if human beings understood their religion properly, spirituality is part of religion. But anyway, spirituality is your relationship with your creator, meaning your relationship with yourself, your relationship with the universe, your relationship with everything. your creator, yourself, the universe, others. That's spirituality, and the state of your heart. The state of your heart. That's spirituality. Now, the beautiful thing is when you have a good understanding of spirituality and religion, the two go hand in hand, and it's a beautiful thing, because it's freeing. It's freeing because your ego is set aside, your heart is clean and pure. And even when you make mistakes, it's not out of hurt, evilness. It's a human mistake, but it's not out of intent to do harm, for example. And spirituality takes practice. So there's practices that elevate your spirituality. Spirituality is a hard thing to describe, but I'll tell you one example that made it easy for me. When I go out anywhere and I walk, and it's just, I see these things every day, right? Outside my house, walking down the street, walking out of my work building and going down and getting a cup of coffee, wherever it is. And you see the most beautiful flower in the most awkward place that it really shouldn't be there. Maybe growing in between the pavement lines of a sidewalk or something like that. And it catches your attention. And when I started working on this, what would happen is I would look at that. It would catch my eye. Initially, I never noticed it, but it would catch my eye, and the beauty, I would notice the beauty of it. And immediately I felt warmth in my heart. And I also thought of God and his wonder. Could that be so beautiful? And it's growing in between pavement. And so that's how I describe spirituality, because it's something that when you develop it, it's something you feel. If you, in Islam, we pray required prayers 5 times a day, and it's hard, to focus sometimes. We talk to God anytime we want, but the mandatory prayers 5 times a day. The re you know Once I understood this, the focus during the prayer got better. And as I worked on this, you know, things did not distract me when I was praying. Also, for us, that's the mandatory prayer. But just talk about conversations with God, conversations, with your creator. It's like, you feel when you're spiritual and you've developed that aspect of yourself, you feel that connection. So Thursday nights are about light talk and spirit flow, and reflecting on that and developing that and delving into why that's so important. I say it, and I will say it a million times over. In order for us to be healed comprehensively, healthy and well, you have to work on the body, the mind, the soul, and the spirit. And the soul and the spirit all is in the realm of spirituality, and for some of us, religion. So it's something that requires work, and it's the whole being. We are complex. The energy healing is outstanding for this, because we are energy beings in a body, and the universe is energy. And when we meet people and interact with people, they have an energy field, we have an energy field, and they interact with each other. So all day long, we have all sorts of things coming into our energy fields, and We hold that. And when we're under stress and when we're ill, when we're worried, when we're, running around like a chicken with our heads cut off, we hold energy in different parts of our body. If we don't use or have something that we can do to release that and to clear that and to realign that, then we're going to be ill. It's going to settle someplace and stick someplace and cause illness. And when we talk about spirituality, it's all about the energies. A lot of it's about the energy flow, using the divine, you know, energy of the creator of all that is, the energies of the universe of creation, and using it to our advantage. It's a funny thing because in my religion, Islam, um, in our holy book, the Quran, there it is. There's a verse or an explanation to a verse that says something to the effect of in that God has created a cure for every disease. Think about that. God has created a cure for every disease. We just don't know what the cure is. And we are so far, as modern as we are, and with all the scientific technologies and everything that we have, we are so far from knowing or understanding all of that. And it's there. We just don't know it. Well, I found, in my experience, has been that energy healing is one thing that is really, really misunderstood. It used to, back, I don't know, years ago, be considered really woo-woo and witchy and witchcrafty and all of that stuff. Now that's changed a little bit in most circles, but there are still some circles who think that. But energy healing and working with your energy, the energy of the universe, it's really important. And I go back to, it's we didn't create ourselves. We didn't create the universe. There's, God created the universe. Okay, I say God created the universe, created us. And we have this potential, and it's scientifically evidence-based. So go look at quantum physics, gain a foundational understanding of quantum physics, consciousness, etc. Look at some of the research that's been done in these areas. And it's something that we can access. It's something that we have. We are innately born with the ability to heal ourselves, and it's through energy healing that's the case. Now, you can go into, I'm talking about energy healing, but you can go into Ayurveda and herbs and the constitution of the body and your main body constitution, the elements that make up all of our bodies, make up everything about us, but which are dominant in you. What is dominant in you may be different than what is dominant in me. Well, how many of us really ever heard that or know that? Not too many people. And unless you travel in certain circles, you'll never hear it. You'll never understand it because it's never talked about. So that's when we talk about spirituality, we're talking about those kinds of concepts. And we're talking about things that, you can't grab with your hand. And that's why I say the state of your heart. It's really something that has to do with your heart. I always say our heart is the seat of God, because if, it's more than just a pump that pumps in your chest. That's the physical qualities, but um spirituality is something that is really important for us to address. But people tend, as human beings, we tend to run away from things that we don't yet understand. Religion, all I can say about religion is, you know what? Don't judge any of the three Abrahamic religions. Don't judge any of them on the behaviors of human beings. And when you go on your journey to healing, health, and wellness, explore and inform yourself and educate yourself. We're here. We're going to be talking about various topics. I'm here for you. Every night I have looked into this camera and I've said, I am here for you. And that is true. So we can talk about anything. We can bring up subjects. My contact information is all over my social media. You can reach out to me with a question at any time, with a suggestion, with something you want clarification on, a topic that you want covered. I would love people to do that because your healing journey is important. Let me say that again. Your healing journey is important. And it's not just important to you, it's important to others, because you don't know through your healing journey how many people you are going to touch and positively impact. Because that's what happens when you go through your own journey and you go through this whole transformation and you have this whole new knowledge and new path, and you get comfortable and settled in again, and then you expand and grow and continue elevating yourself. When that happens, the tendency is to bring other people along with you. How do I know this? Because I went on my own journey more than, a decade or so ago. And sometimes I'm going to be honest with you though, complete transparency. I'm going to be honest. Sometimes it feels like I don't know if I'm helping anybody. There have been moments when I questioned myself, like, I don't know if I'm really having a positive impact on anybody or anything at this point. I went through that. But that's because people tend to tell you when they don't like something or when they are upset about something, but they don't tell you when something is good, right? They just assume that you know it. And how I realized that was I was talking with a friend, colleague. This was a few years ago. And she looked at me and she says, I just want to thank you. Some of all the stuff that you do and what you put out on social media and all of your talks and etc. She said, it's very helpful to me and I really appreciate it. And I just paused for a minute. I was like, wow, I never knew. I never knew. I didn't even know at that time that she was even listening or watching anything. So you never know when you go on your journey to healing, health, and wellness, which includes spirituality or should include, because you have to deal with that aspect or element of yourself to be whole. You just don't know where that's going to take you. And unfortunately, when people, us as human beings, and when I say people, I'm not talking down, because I'm, you know, I went through all my stuff too. And we have tendencies that we have to work against all the time. So even now, sometimes I'll suddenly slip into something, old or something that I used to do before that I don't really do anymore, but something triggered something. And now I'm like, oh, why did I say that? Why did I act that way? Why did I get upset that way? Why did I let that bother me? Or whatever the case may be. Because we're human, right? So you want to, you want to know that, your journey is going, it includes a path to things that you don't understand yet, and that's okay. And it's not going to be perfect. And it's something, I say this all the time, it's something that we continuously work on and work at. Because to be quite honest with you, everything in this life, everything in this realm is anti our healing, health, and wellness, almost everything, and is anti our spiritual growth, is anti our personal growth. So Thursday nights, I've used this week to introduce each night. Thursday nights are about deep reflections on spirituality, intuition. Let's talk about intuition for a little bit. Intuition. Everyone, listen to this. Everyone has the ability to be intuitive. Now, I'm not talking about seeing into the future. I'm not talking about that, because nobody can do that. Only God knows the future. We don't have any ability, none of us, to see the future. That's my humble opinion. However, intuition and being intuitive is a completely different thing, because we all have the ability at varying levels to be intuitive. Some people see things, see colors. Some people smell things. You can intuitively know if there's a presence around surrounding you. Everybody has that ability, but what happens is it is pushed down and pushed down and pushed down until it's extinguished from childhood. Give you an example. How many times have you ever heard that a young child, a very young child, will say they have an imaginary friend? Well, they just say the name. They don't call it an imaginary friend. They just say, they sit down and have a tea party with their friend, and they have a name and they have everything, what they look like, they can, everything. And we named that, human beings named that, children can oftentimes have imaginary friends. Well, my question is this: what if it's not an imaginary friend? What if it's something that a child can see that we can't see? Because children are pure and innocent. And when you're pure and innocent, and when you have no blockers to things, and you're a clean slate basically when you're a child, because you haven't gone through things, you haven't been told things, you haven't been programmed in any kind of way yet, by society, by family, by parents, or whoever's raising you. So you're open, you're open. And then what do we do when a child says they have an imaginary friend? We kind of say things or do things to kind of sell them the idea, oh, you have an imaginary friend, that's so cool, how cute. Oh, and then it kind of goes away over time. So and then if you have an older person who says that they see this or that, then there's many people who look at that and say, oh, that's craziness. And I've even wondered, now I don't know about this, but I've even wondered myself, with all the people that are diagnosed with schizophrenia, and they say they hallucinations and all of that. Now, I'm not suggesting that that mental illness doesn't exist. I'm not saying that at all. But could we be misdiagnosing some people? I don't know. But I do know that we all have the ability to be intuitive, but it takes work. Again, everything takes work. You have to develop that muscle, so to speak. It's something that um, we lose and forget from a young age, and because everybody has it. Uh, and then to try to get it back or to try to recognize it again, sometimes is hard. It's kind of like sometimes for some of us, it's like an inner struggle, um, because we don't want to be looked at as different or whatever. So, intuition is a big thing. How about surrender? How about just surrendering to your journey? Surrendering to the path and committing to take the step and following through, even though you might think that it's going to be hard or that it is going to be hard. Um, Exploring divine timing. I'm looking at my notes because I don't want to forget mentioning some things. Divine timing. I had a real challenge with this one because I'm a rather impatient person. It's gotten better over the years. I've worked on it. Um, but this whole idea of things happen when they're supposed to happen and divine timing, I was always pushing and pushing and pushing and trying to make things happen. Well, that doesn't work very well often because when it's just not meant to be, it's not meant to be, and it's not going to happen no matter what you do. Well, it took me many, many years to be okay with that. And now I'm completely okay with it. When it's the right time, X will happen. Um, so that's another thing that we explore. Meditation. I have a funny story about meditations. I have a friend. I worked with her when I was in Qatar, and she was really into meditations, and she would go to these retreats and everything when we had vacation time. And one time she said to me, I'm going to go do this meditation retreat. Do you want to come? And I said, well, describe it to me. She says, meditation. And she was describing, I said, that's not for me. I can't go sit and not think about stuff for 2 weeks. Like that, I don't have time for that. That was my response. And she never asked me again, and she never said anything. Then I started my journey, started out just wanting to lose weight, got into all sorts of other stuff. I followed the journey. Here I am. Meditation is a huge part of what I do. And it should be a huge part of what everybody does because we need it. We need it for our own mental, spiritual, uh, physical well-being. And I went to her once I started doing my practice. When I went to her and I was talking about something, she says, "Oh, you do meditation now? Really?" When I told you about meditation, and she kind of harassed me a little bit, and we laugh about it now, but that's a lot of people's reaction to meditations. And I'm telling you, meditation is how we can do our own healing first. Meditations are great for stress, PTSD, some of the illnesses that we're seeing. If you have chronic pain, there's different meditations that are good for that. Um, there's just so much value in it. And then when you start practicing meditation and you elevate yourself, um, you just go far beyond where you ever thought you could possibly be. And the sense of peace is incredible. Stress, honestly, things that generally people would say is always stress me out. The same people will say, no, it doesn't stress me out anymore. It's meant to be, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. So there's a lot of things that fall under light talk and spirit flow But those are just to give you an idea. It is now after 8:30. I don't want to keep you too late. But remember, next week we dive right in. Monday is mindful moments and micro learning. We're going to continue our book. Tuesday is healing in real life. Wednesday, threads of Trinity, where we use creativity as medicine. Come crochet with me, come knit with me, or bring whatever you do and you do that with me at that time. Thursday, like tonight, is light talk and spirit flow. Now, tomorrow, to give you an insight for tomorrow, the wellness drop in. And we're going to talk about end of week with some simple rituals for the body mind balance. We're going to talk about over time, we will build our toolkit uh, with some Ayurvedic principles, herbal principles, energy healing. I would love to do short little energy healing things, give you some strategies that you can use yourself. The power of 3 different oil blends, talk about how they're used, the benefits of those. And then setting an intention every Friday for your weekend restoration. It's so important for us to do that. So I hope that you continue to stop in. And if you are not able to make any, some of the nights, you're just busy or something comes up, know that you can go to my YouTube channel at Dr. Debbie Bedawi, DebbieBadawi, and you can subscribe, and everything there is free. All of the live streams, I put them up. Usually it takes me a little bit to get the thumbnail and all of that, but it automatically goes up right after we finish. And I just leave it overnight usually. And then I put the thumbnail with the date and all of that on it. So it's there. It's there for you. I also repost them on Facebook in particular. I'm gonna switch out some of my website examples and put some there. And by the way, go to the website. You can see a lot of information there. www.evolveglobal22usa.com. All of my products are in the Light Boutique. The healing, health, and wellness products, the meditation and therapeutic blankets. So everything is there for you. But again, tonight, Thursday nights are always about light talk and spirit flow. Tonight, we talked about my take on spirituality and religion, and a little bit about how perceptions out there are not always accurate, and how we shouldn't judge uh, different behaviors of people and tie it with a religion, or be extra down on spirituality as something strange and weird. I'm encouraging everyone to enter onto their healing, health, and wellness journey, and let that develop. You don't have to you don't have to mentally, say, oh, I need to do this, that, and the other. Just let it happen. It will happen in its own time, if you are open. So Thursday nights is where we talk about things like that regarding spirituality. And I will do some oracle readings, particularly on Thursday nights. And we're going to talk, I think the first topic next week for Thursday night is going to talk about manifesting and manifestations, because people really misunderstand, and it's promoted in a way that promotes a misunderstanding, if that makes sense. I'm a little tired tonight. But yeah, so I want to talk about manifesting, and you know what it really entails. So next week maybe we'll do that on Thursday, and we'll do an oracle card reading. But yes, That's all next week. How about tomorrow, Friday? Don't forget the wellness drop-in. We're just going to talk about uh, what Fridays are going to be. I'll give you some examples of some of the topics, and we'll go from there. So I want to thank you for being with me tonight and spending this moment with me. If you have been here all week, I thank you for that. I thank you for your support. I always say to everybody that if you find uh, any of the work that I do here at Evolve Global 22 beneficial, um, you can go to my website and you can give a gift of gratitude. Scroll down to the bottom of the home page. I do a lot of my work for free. I don't turn anybody away. And my pricing, even on my paid items, are very, very low in comparison to outside because I don't want people who may be in need to not get the support that they need and not get the support to go on their journey that they need. So that's always there. But just go to YouTube, subscribe there if you have not done so already, and come here and we'll do this work together. On that note, let's do our ending mantra. I almost forgot. That's how tired I am tonight. I almost forgot the closing mantra. Let's do our closing mantra. Are you ready? I honor my journey. I release what no longer serves me. I am energy. I am light. I am love. Together we heal. Together we evolve. One more time, and you can repeat after me. I honor my journey. I release what no longer serves me. I am energy. I am light. I am love. Together we heal. Together we evolve. On that note, I wish you the best night going forward, all of the peace, all of the love, all of the light. Have a wonderful night. Bye-bye. Peace and light.